you're having trouble trusting God more in areas of your life, though you pray, it's hard to let go of worries, control, and doubt. Each day, things pile up, and each time you let it consume you because you can't see clearly, struggling to leave it to God. Know that God sees it all. He wants you to bring it all so He can do the work. Instead of giving way to fear, trust in His calling. Talk to God about each and everything in your life. He created you for Him, so you'll never fail in His work. Breakfast was good. Do you know what? I just finished my workout and everything, and then I was like super hungry, and I was about to make like a porridge and like some fruit and stuff. And Ashley was doing the school run, and he was like, "Do you want me to go get you some breakfast?" And I was like, "What is the breakfast?" And he told me what the breakfast was, and I was like, "Yes," because I love this like Olenstein breakfast sandwich. This is my third time having it. I don't have it like all the time, so which is good. But yeah, it was really nice to have. And he got me a caramel latte as well. So I've been drinking that. It's a show called 4 Seasons. It's like an 8-episode Netflix. You know, now on Netflix, it's not like back in the day when you get like 10 seasons of 26 episodes and like you're hooked in for life. I can't even handle that. I don't know why I was complaining before about that, but I can't handle sitting there forever. I don't even have time for that. The only time I really watch like proper episodes is at the studio because my client's watching their show, and I just like look up and watch, you know, every now and again. But that's the only time like I'm watching back-to-back episodes. But I'll probably start watching something and then I'll forget about it because I'm too busy. But we're watching the 4 seasons, and basically it's just like 2 episodes per season, and it shows like spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And it's about couples, and like they're all married, and then they talk about like real life marriage issues. But it's like a show, not a show. It's it's a show, but it's not like real life. It's just you know, whatever. It's a show. It was really interesting. It's funny. And in one of them, someone gets divorced and they have a new person, and it's just like the dynamic of the friendship group and stuff like that. It's actually a really good show. I recommend it. 4 seasons. Yeah. So anyway. Also, while I was eating breakfast, I started choking. Literally, I'm sitting there innocently watching the program, and it's not like I was choking and then I was like, oh my gosh, the food just covered my air pipes. And I was like, oh, no, the enemy's not gonna try to get me now. No, not on my watch. I wanted to talk to you about reading books. I've always had the urge to read, and also to read 40 to 50 books. I've seen some women reading books, like 100 books in the year or even more. I'm trying to do this. Like, I'm literally reading 2 to 3 books at a time. Not because of that, just because like I have the one book that I read when I'm going to the studio and back and forth, and then I have a book at home as well that I read. But yeah, so I want to do a book review on the book Chiamanda wrote called Dream Count. Apparently she had a a time off from writing, and this was the book, the debut from the writing block. I feel like she should have gone back and like spent some time in here. It wasn't as like as her other books, you know, it wasn't as like juicy. It basically covers like 4 to 5 women and then their stories. So it's a short story book, which I didn't realize as I was reading it, because by the time I got to the second chapter, I was like, what's going on? But I realized it was a short story. And it's funny because I was also reading it along with one of my clients as well, because she's a reader. In fact, that's where I got the book title from. So anyway, so it just covers like stories of the women. The first woman, I think she has some issues with like, oh, she kept, you know, it's like, it covers women's issues and problems and situations within friendships, relationships, parenting, and stuff like that. And so the first lady was about, I think she was looking to marry, but she didn't marry the first guy, and then she started dating the second guy who absolutely loved her, but she didn't want him, and then she ended up wanting to be with this married guy. So it's kind of like talking about the relationship and like emotional immaturity basically, and like not dealing with healing. And then you end up like wanting to be caught in this loop of being in a relationship and have an excuse if it doesn't work out, or have an excuse not to be wholeheartedly in something because of the dynamic of it. She kept choosing relationships that caused strife and problems rather than one person who truly loved her and would have given everything. She didn't want that person. The third one, or the fourth one, was about a story of someone who was a refugee, or claimed to be a refugee. Basically, she wasn't. She came to this country and her husband had come prior and he was working. He sent for her, kind of like almost lied to get into the USA. And then she ended up being assaulted at her job, and it was like almost like her fault, and her family didn't believe her and all these things. And that part was really annoying to read. Like I felt like I couldn't wait for it to end, because it was just so, not even sad, it was just like down, and like, wow, she really tore this woman's life away with words, and I didn't like it, that part. And then the last couple of chapters was like a woman who, throughout the story, they kind of reference each other. And then in the last one, there's a last lady called Omelego. She basically was like portraying a masculine energy, masculine like stereotypes and stuff like that. So she didn't want to have children, she didn't want to settle down. All her, you know, the African family's like, oh, when are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? And she didn't want to do any of that. And like her parents were like, oh, you know, maybe you should adopt a child right now, because she was like pushing into her 40s or something like that. And she was like fighting for causes that she basically was working, just doing all the things that in all programs and books that you ever read, it's like the male stereotypical, like, oh yeah, I'm going to work, I'm just going to date, I'm not going to get married, I'm not going to settle down, I'm not taking things seriously, my job more than anything else, da, 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 da. So she's kind of fallen into that kind of category. And then so that's basically it. So the next book that I finished was the second part to The Mountain Is You. The Mountain Is You was really good. I've already done a review of that in my other blog. And this one's called This Is How You Heal. It's more of a book where you want to journal with it, because it's kind of like stop and start, write down, okay, yeah, because there's a lot of parts in the book where she literally drops bombs and you have to like figure it out, work on it, talk about it to yourself, sort of pray about situations. So I found myself like journaling, praying, being like, oh yeah, that's true, and this is how you do things. And it's, again, with that first book as well, it kind of makes you let go of certain areas in your life where you was holding on so tightly. And then, you know, as a faith part of it as well, though it isn't a Christian book, but you know, it triggers my mind into thinking like, okay, this is what God says, or this is how I feel in this moment, and this is what I need to pray about, and things like that. So I like books like that really challenge your mind. It's a very, 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 very good book. It just helps you kind of like move on to the next part of your season, or, you know, next part of your life. So definitely recommend that one as well. In the book also, there are parts where you kind of would feel, well, at least for myself, I did feel like a breath of fresh air, like actually I am doing that, or I have been doing that. Because sometimes you are working on yourself, or you're trying to change, but then you don't take a moment to actually be like, I have changed and things are working and my habits are changing and the new plan I made for myself, and then you can finally be in a space where you can hear God more, or you're doing things that you're called to do, but because you're just always at it and you're always overthinking, you don't give yourself in that space to enjoy that moment, which the book was talking about as well. Like, rather than always thinking about the future plans, fair enough, we need to think about our future, but we need to enjoy the moment as well for now. And I know on my journey of becoming a better person and becoming more like intentional with everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to step in that moment where I'm like, I'm enjoying everything that I've worked on for the last 2 to 3 years. that from the beginning of starting this channel till now, I can definitely see changes in myself. I can definitely see changes in my lifestyle and things are a lot more easier to deal with. But there's always something that you have to do. We're going to have triggers, we're going to have moments, we're going to need to heal on some things, new things are going to come to play. So the book really helps understanding like the healing process is not just for you, but it's not hard to heal. It's not hard to get over situations that you've been through. So it was a very good eye-opening book. And you know, it does say, the first part of the book does say, when you're ready, you have to be ready to move on to be the better person or the bigger person or become the best that you can be. You have to be ready for it, because if you're not ready, it's literally just going to bounce off of you. You're going to read it and not take it in. So it's a very intentional book. But yeah, those are my book reviews, and I'm going to try and do a book review for you every week. I have 2 other books that I have finished also, and by the time that's done, I probably would have another 2. So I'm going to try and do like 1 to 2 books every week so that we can do this book together. And if you have any book recommendations that you want me to read or that you really found really helped you, put it in the comments for me so I can get that book to you. Now, I remember saying that I was going to read those big massive books, The Priory of the Orange and The Flame something. They came through. But yes, I probably have to like be very ready for these books. But yeah, I have these books now, and once I finish It Ends With Us. Is that what I'm reading? It starts with us. Once I finish the book that I'm currently reading, my train book, then I'm going to start these books as well. I'm just thinking how long it's going to take me to read this. I might not read a second book at the same time. I might just make this the main book and just bang them out and done. But yeah, that's my book review.